In this week's Parsha, we learn about the signs which tell us if an animal is kosher or not kosher. And the Torah tells us that in order for an animal to be considered a kosher animal, it must chew its cud and have split hooves. What is the lesson that we can learn from these signs? And what are these signs coming to teach us? I heard a beautiful explanation in the name of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He says that when you think about what chewing an animal's cud means, they eat the animal, it goes down into their stomach, they begin to digest it, and then they regurgitate the food, they chew it over a little more, and then it goes back down. Sometimes in our lives, we have things which have become a part of us. We have a certain way of thinking, we have a certain way of doing things. It's come into us, it's become a part of us. But sometimes it's important to take a step back, to take that idea, spit it out, think it over again, chew it over, as they say, and think about, is this appropriate? If it was appropriate, is it still appropriate? Maybe I've changed, maybe the situation has changed, maybe the world has changed. And therefore, you can't just go with your old ideas. You can't just go with your old thoughts, your own way of doing things. You constantly have to be reanalyzing and thinking it over and making sure that the ideas and your way of doing things of the past is still applicable and appropriate today. And what about split hooves? So when you think of the hooves of an animal or the feet of a person, the feet of a person are what keeps them grounded, it keeps them on the ground. And in our lives, we have to be grounded. We can't live up in the stars. We can't live in a world which is not defined by reality. We have to live in a real world. We have to be grounded people. Even though we know Hashem could do everything, as Chazal tell us, as our rabbis tell us, Ein somchen al hanes. You can't rely on a miracle. You have to be grounded. You have to do things according to the normal ways of the world. But when you have a split hoof, that says, you know what? There's a gap in that, though. Yes, you have to be grounded. Yes, you have to live your life in a real way. You have to live your life according to the ways of the world. But sometimes there's a break in that as well. And not everything always has to be perfectly explained. Not everything always has to make 100% perfect sense. Sometimes you have to take that leap of faith from one bit of reality to another bit of reality. We can't completely live our lives in the world of miracles, but we also can't be completely 100% grounded as well. We have to live our lives knowing that we have to take a leap of faith. We have to believe in Hashem as well. And these are two very beautiful ideas that we learn from the signs of the kosher animals that we can apply to our lives. First of all, we have to constantly be reanalyzing. We have to constantly be making sure, constantly bringing up old ideas, bringing up old way of doing things, and make sure they're still appropriate for our situation, especially when everything in our lives has changed so much in the past year or so. We have to make sure that what we're doing is still appropriate, what we're doing is still the way things should be done. And as hopefully we move out of this situation, we have to be very careful to make sure that we continue to do things the right way. We come out of this situation, we come out of this pandemic, and get back to the way things should be. Get back to living our lives to the fullest extent. And also, as much as we do have to live our lives in a physical, grounded way, we also have to sometimes take that leap of faith. We have to do our part, but we have to have faith in Hashem as well. We have to live our lives in a way where we have that balance between knowing that everything we do has to be realistic, everything we do has to make sense, everything we do has to go according to the way the world runs. But we also have to know that Hashem does run the world. Hashem is taking care of everything, and sometimes we just need that leap of faith. Have a great, great Shabbos.